My brother, once the most stable and kind man I know, suddenly destroyed his marriage, moved in a new woman, and is acting dangerously unhinged. I'm starting to fear for her safety, and his sanity. Part 1, my, Brock M32. Older brother, Parker M38, has kind of always been my hero. We were raised by loving parents and were always pretty well off growing up. Not rich as in we could just do whatever the hell we wanted, but we had our needs and a lot of our wants. His whole life Parker has been the most stand-up, well-to-do, likable man. I don't think I can stress enough how awesome my brother has always been. This guy has had exactly 3 girlfriends his whole life. 2 were in high school. They ended just like any high school relationship does, nothing crazy. Then he met his wife Stacy, F39, freshman year of college. They got married right after, and from everything I have ever seen, heard from either of them, or anyone who knows them, they are a perfect loving couple. Now, due to fertility issues for both of them, it has been impossible for them to conceive. I know that has hurt him, as he has shared with me as much. This would be the only thing I have ever seen as something bad between them. But my brother even took that in stride, telling me, it just means Stacy and I are meant to spend more time together. That's exactly what they have done. My brother owns 2 car dealerships. Well, I guess it's the same dealership, he just has 2 locations here in Franklin. I work for my brother as the head of the maintenance division. This is where my concerns begin. About 6 weeks ago he hired a new woman, Octavia F26, for the receptionist position. Nothing seemed out of the ordinary at first. He gave me a quick lowdown on her based on her interview and resume, plus a little chit-chat they had during the process. Nothing seemed off. His reactions to her and the stuff he said didn't seem any different than any other hire he's had in the 8 years we've been working together. Basically, he just told me, she moved to Nashville trying to be a country singer when she was 20. Had another receptionist job at a doctor's office. That doctor died in an accident recently, this I vaguely remember reading about, which has ended up closing his practice. He didn't mention in any of the weeks leading up to what happened, her looks. Octavia is gorgeous. A real true-to-form head-turner. If she can't make it as a country singer, I have no doubts she would have little trouble finding a country singer to marry her. She is that attractive? I just never thought my brother would fall for all of that. 2 weeks ago we had a big sales event. The dealership was open later than usual. On these events my team and I usually don't have extended hours, but I typically stay around to help out with whatever I can. It was closing, and the only people still around were myself, Parker, and Octavia. I headed out right away as my girlfriend had messaged me that she was out with some mutual friends and wanted me to come join her at a favorite local spot of ours. It was about 3 hours later I got a call from Stacy saying Parker never came home. I freaked out, I will admit it. This is not what my brother does. He has never not called Stacy to let her know where he will be or when he will be home. My girlfriend and I had just gotten back to her place, so I flew back to the dealership. His car was not there. I went into the office and got into his employee files. I found Octavia's number and called her. She told me Parker was there with her. That he had followed her home. I was very irate and began to lay into her. After just a few moments though I said I was coming over there, her address was on the file. She hung up on me and I punched the address into my Maps app. It was the address to the Arby's. I went to Arby's and obviously they had never heard of Octavia Norman. I called up Stacy and told her that I found Parker. Which was a lie, but I didn't want to freak her out, so I told her he was at the office still. That there was a huge problem with a couple of sales, his phone died, and that he couldn't find his charger. I could tell by her voice she didn't believe anything I was saying. I had my mind made up though. The second my brother came in I was going to rip him a new one. I could not believe he would do such a thing. I got into the dealership early. I was doing my usual duties but keeping an eye out for Parker. He never showed. He is never ever late, then suddenly my phone starts going off. It's Stacy again. She tells me Parker just showed up at the house absolutely manic, ranting about he doesn't love her, can't stand to look at some infertile bitch who can't bear his children and she needs to get the fuck out. She can't even get a word in. He just keeps saying that she has to leave. She can have everything else, he only wants the house. She is absolutely in hysterics telling me this. I'm getting worried because I can tell she is driving. She tells me eventually between gasps she is heading to her sister's house. I tell her I will figure this out. I rush over to the house, and sure enough, he's gone again. I'm getting frustrated now and start spam calling his phone over and over. After about the 9th call he finally answers and I ask him, what the fuck is going on? He says, don't worry about it, it's my fucking life, I'll do what I want. Stacy and I are done, and if you don't like it you can get the fuck out of my life too. That was like a punch in the face. Who was this guy? That is not my brother. The crazy thing was he sounded more scared than angry when he was saying that to me. I went back to the dealership at that point and waited to see if he would come in, but he never did. He didn't the rest of the week, and neither did Octavia. Parker went and got the divorce papers made. He is being really generous with Stacy from a financial standpoint, which also makes his sudden cruelty towards her so disconcerting. He will not talk to her, and if she tries he insults her and tells her to get out of his life. It wasn't but the second day when he had movers at the house. He packed up any possible thing that she could want and sent it over to her sister's house. He even bought her a storage unit near there for anything that wouldn't fit. I was completely mind blown. How does a person go from making one woman his whole world, to suddenly doing everything he can to get her to go away? The very next day he moved Octavia into his home. When they returned to work the following weekend, he announced that she would now be his personal secretary. He has never had one of those before, and that my receptionist in the maintenance center would now be handling that for the dealership side as well. I went into his office and closed the door the second he went in. I didn't waste any time and we got into a huge argument. It ultimately concluded with him telling me, "If you don't like the way things are now, then you can fucking quit. I don't want to hear about it again. In fact, if I do, if you say one more fucking word about Stacy, or Octavia, or what I do with my own life, I will fire you and every member of your team. And don't think I fucking won't. I can get more mechanics tomorrow, no problem." At that point I just walked out. I have been doing this job for another week now. At the same time I have been watching my brother closely. He seems to be constantly on edge and very agitated at even the smallest thing. This has never been him. On top of that, he bosses Octavia around like she's some sort of dog. I hated her when all this began to go down, but now, I don't even know what to think. I was sure she was the one driving the ship, that she had used her looks to ensnare him, but he treats her like absolute shit. Constantly talking down to her and degrading her, even in front of others. I have very little doubt, though no hard proof, that he is making her perform sexual acts on him during the day. I don't know what it is. I'm starting to wonder if he has a brain tumor or something. Seriously, I can't imagine any other way a person goes from being the best, most beloved man in 100 people's lives to a complete monster in 2 weeks. I'm navigating a way to get an intervention or something going. Anytime I talk to him he threatens me. I don't want to get fired, not because I need this job. I can get another good job, but because I feel I need to keep an eye on this. There's something wrong with him, and I feel like I at least owe it to him to try and figure out what. Part 2. It's only been a few weeks since my brother Parker moved Octavia into his home, and things just keep getting more disturbing. Right after my last post I noticed marks on Octavia. It was subtle. She was wearing long sleeves, obviously, with it being late fall. I have been keeping a close eye on my brother and his dealings. Octavia reached for something and her arm extended, revealing her wrists. They were so bruised, like she spends the whole night in handcuffs or something. I went to talk to her when Parker went to the restroom, but she was very dismissive and told me everything was fine and good with Parker. Maybe I could have believed that, but the very next day Parker came in alone. When I saw him I asked where Octavia was and he said, "She is going to stay at home from now on." That was it, his only explanation. Without her there the work environment got back to some semblance of normalcy. Parker was still shorter than usual and seemingly constantly a nervous wreck. I tried to pry here and there, but he would always shut it down before I even asked a question. Stacy was still calling me asking if I knew what was going on with him. It really hurt to tell her that he was still with Octavia and still acting manic. She let me know that he was still blocking her and any communication she did get through was met with heavy insults and threats. Then about 10 days ago the most unbelievably disgusting thing occurred. One of my younger guys, we call him Toomey, on the crew came to me with something. He is a pretty open guy, so I don't think he was too embarrassed to bring this in, but he had a video he said he found on a porn site. At first I was unsure why he felt the need to tell me this, but then he continued and said he thinks it's Octavia and Parker. I said go ahead and show me. The woman in the video, while wearing a mask, like one of those masquerade masks that just cover the eyes, really looks like Octavia. Hair color is the same, skin tone same, and the body looks exactly like you would imagine her body looks like. She is completely naked and has marks all over her back, legs, and butt. Literally looks like she has been beaten and whipped. The guy in the video sounds kind of like Parker as he bosses her around, but you know picking up the sound on a phone is always a little off. You never see the guy above the chest, and I can't say I know what Parker's dick looks like, but I've seen him in a bathing suit before and what you see isn't ruling him out. The most damning evidence though is the wrap on the man's arm. It's obviously there to cover up a tattoo. Parker has a tattoo on that same forearm. MCMXX on top of MMV, in big block letters. It was his tribute to our grandmother he got when he was like 20 or 21. The acts in the scene are very difficult to look at. The woman is whipped viciously, not breaking the skin, but the marks on her back and butt are very pronounced. She does not appear to be enjoying herself. The sex acts are rough and degrading. I asked Toomey to send me the link to my phone as I wanted to track this. I also asked that he keep it under wraps. He agreed, although I feel that the second part is going to be really hard for him to keep too. I followed the poster of the video to see if anything else would be posted. Since that first video went live, there has been at least one new one each day. Some more degrading and disturbing, some less, but all in this BDSM realm. The thing is, it becomes more and more obvious for anyone who knows him that this is Parker. Eventually, on some of the local town gossip Facebook threads, it began to be pointed out. Then someone left a review on the dealership page calling the owner a disgusting heathen. It's out there in the community, and it's going to, if it hasn't already, affect business. Parker seems more distraught and crazed this week. I finally couldn't take it any longer, and yesterday I went to Parker's house, used my key and just walked in. Parker was just sitting there on the couch watching TV. He sat up alarmed and said, "What are you doing here?" I sat down in a chair adjacent to the couch. I guess the sounds of my arrival alerted Octavia, who came out from the back room wearing nothing but a thong and a dog collar. It was shocking. She came over and immediately got down on her knees and pushed herself between my legs. As she began to reach for my zipper, I blocked her and looked at Parker and yelled, "What the fuck?" He popped up and came over, attaching a leash to her collar, then began pulling her violently towards the bedroom. She began saying, I'm sorry Dominus, I thought I was supposed to." She drowned out as he was yelling and cussing at her. I had gotten up to follow him, thinking she might be in danger. He quickly shoved her into a bedroom and closed the door. He began yelling at me to get out of here. I told him, "No, I'm not going anywhere until you tell me what the fuck is going on. What happened to you? What are you doing to her?" He calmed momentarily and gave me this look of extreme pain I will never forget. "This is just our game, it's what we do, she can end it whenever she wants." I yelled back, "You've got to be kidding me, a game? She is covered in marks, and why are you posting it online?" He seemed stunned. "That's just what we like to do." I tried to relax, get my cool back. I began again slowly, "It's affecting business. There are reviews about the dealership that are referencing your personal life." He softened for a moment, let down the defensiveness. I know, but this is what Octavia likes." I jolted my head back as if smelling something bad, the look on my face a mix of confusion and disgust. "What she likes? You mean she likes being tortured and degraded publicly?" I shook my head as if I just remembered why I was here. "Never mind that for now. What about you? You like this? Come on, Parker, you've never been this guy, not even in high school when every girl in the place wanted you. Why are you doing this? Why throw Stacy away? There's gotta be something else going on. Let me take you to get checked, man. It's me." When I suggested we seek medical help, he turned. Parker snapped to attention and his entire demeanor changed. No, you gotta go. This is my life. You have no right to intrude. Get out of my house now. I tried to hold my ground. "Man, I'm not gonna go. I can't." He became enraged. "Get the fuck out now." My brother put hands on me out of anger for the first time ever, grabbing me by my shirt and driving me back out of the hallway and into the living room. I tripped over my feet and fell, and he fell on top of me. We both rolled. He popped up quick and went to the front door, opening it wide. I got up somewhat slowly but immediately nonetheless. As I stood there, I looked into my brother's eyes. They looked crazed, yet sad. I didn't know this man anymore. I walked out the door, my fight gone. As I got halfway down the path leading into the driveway, I stopped and turned back. He was standing there looking at me, just staring. Finally, without a single motion to break the tension, he said, "Brock, I'm sorry." I took a step towards him and he put up his hand. "Tell Stacy." But he didn't finish. He just dropped his head, then shut the door. I could hear the locks going on. I got in my car and drove to my house. I don't know what to do. He says these are their games. That they both want this? I don't know if I can believe that. I think I need to hear it from Octavia herself. That man is not my brother. There is something going on in him and I have to figure out what it is. I have to help him. At the same time, I think she is in danger, like real danger. I need to talk to her. Part 3. After my altercation with Parker, I knew I had to get Octavia out. She was being mistreated and I didn't think it was just kink play. The very next day I waited until Parker got to the dealership, then snuck out shortly after he saw me there. I didn't want to give him an indication I was doing something. He had grown increasingly paranoid over the few weeks. I had my keys, I also had some tools. I was going to break in if need be. Luckily the front door was not any more locked than my key could handle. I knew it wouldn't be long before Parker noticed on the doorbell cam and made his way here. I went straight to the room where he put Octavia the day before. It was locked. I could hear the sound of metal banging off itself when I hit the door. I called out to her and she yelled back, "I'm in here." I pulled back and kicked the door. The lock held up, as did the hinges. The cheap wooden door did not and cracked. I kicked again and it was breaking. I managed to break through, and it was as I had feared. She was his hostage. She began crying immediately. She was in a large kennel essentially, completely naked. The only thing in her enclosure was a thin mattress that would fit on a cot. It was long enough to lay out but not even tall enough to comfortably kneel on all fours. Is this where my brother has been keeping her all day, I thought? She had tears in her eyes and begged me to help her get out of there. I checked the lock on the kennel. It was a big thick heavy-duty lock. I didn't have anything that could get through this thing with me. I checked the kennel bars. They were solid. They wouldn't be as tough as the lock but they would take time still. Then my phone rang. It was Parker. He knew, and he was on his way. Octavia saw my phone light up and said, "He's coming, you have to get me out of here." She seemed frantic and terrified. I knew I couldn't get her out before he got here, so I did the only thing I could. If Parker called me on his way to his truck, I had about 25 minutes before he arrived. Police would only take 10 at most. I made the call. They arrived well ahead of Parker, along with fire rescue that had the right tool for the job. They got Octavia out, and gave her a blanket to wrap herself. I had been moved outside. My phone rang again. It was Parker. "What have you done?" He seemed terrified. I am done with my brother at this point, yet still concerned, especially given his tone. "Parker, you need to turn yourself in. What you did to her was not right. We can get you some help." Then he said something I found massively confusing and horrifying. "Did she put in the code? Where is she? Where is she at right now?" I stuttered. What are you talking about? What code?" "Parker, just turn yourself in. She is with the paramedics now." He panicked, and the last thing he said directly to me was, "What have you done?" His truck flew into a small space between cop cars. Parker jumped out of the vehicle and came running onto the scene screaming, "She's the one, stop, you have to make her put in the code." He was absolutely hysterical, yelling and screaming. He was running towards the ambulance when an officer tackled him to the ground. 2 more came over and they quickly had him pinned and cuffed. The whole time he was raving about a code, raving that it was her. I couldn't believe what had become of my brother. He was placed in the back of a squad car. He was still screaming the whole time. That's when we heard the pop, and that's exactly what it sounded like, just a little pop. A few seconds later there was another one. I looked to the squad car my brother had been placed in the back of. The side window was covered in blood. I sprinted to the car as did officers. They opened the door and I saw Parker look right at me. He was struggling as the blood poured from gaping holes in each side of his neck. Then I saw the life drain from his eyes. He slumped forward. The officers caught him and tried to put pressure on his neck. The paramedics rushed over. They attempted to tend to my brother but it was obvious he was gone. I was just in shock, numb, like my brain couldn't process what I just saw. For some reason, Octavia popped into my head. I don't know why. I would have thought my mind would have been consumed by my brother's death. I turned to the ambulance she was originally taken to. She wasn't there. I made my way over. She wasn't anywhere. I kept looking. I began screaming at everyone that Octavia was gone. They took notice and began to search as well. No one found her. She disappeared in the commotion. I've been thinking about this for 2 days while the police processed the house. The medical examiner did an autopsy on Parker and I was notified with the results. It's being ruled a homicide. The medical examiner told me it appeared someone created 2 very tiny bombs and had injected them into Parker's neck. I've had the house returned to me now. I'm not sure what the police found or evidence they took. I knew my brother better than them. I was hoping to come across a note or something, and I wasn't disappointed. There were a few spots I remembered Parker stashing stuff when we were growing up. It didn't take me long. In an old jigsaw puzzle I found it. I haven't taken the time to read it yet. I'm sitting here terrified of what I'm going to find out. I'm going to take my time then. I'll turn it over to the police. Part 4. The note is not long. Handwritten. I turned it over to the police this morning. Before I did that I copied it exactly word for word into a Google Doc. I'll show Stacy today. She deserves to know the truth. I'm not going to try and paraphrase. Below is the note, in its entirety. To my brother Brock, I need you to know what's happened, in the event this all goes south. I figure if anyone can find this letter it will be you. Octavia is not who she says she is. Who knows who she really is? On that night of our fall sales special, just after you left, her and I began to talk a little. She had brought me a bottle of water. I later found out that she had spiked it with something. I don't remember much. I woke up in a small house. I was bound and she was there. She told me all the things that I was going to do for her now. I just listened. I didn't fight with her. I figured she wanted money or something and that if I took my time and thought, that I could get out of this. I'm sure she was aware that I was thinking of a way out because she was very arrogant the entire time. There was a ham on the table, which in most circumstances would have been comical. She pulled out this long thick syringe and injected this ham. It was terrifying honestly. I had no idea what she was doing, or what she planned on injecting in me. After a moment she grabbed a laptop that had been open nearby. She pushed one button and a chunk blew off. It was a big enough chunk to tell me this was serious. Especially as I could feel the 2 pain points in each side of my neck. She told me the devices were there, right next to my carotids, and that I was going to be hers from now on. That the devices were similar to a pacemaker, they have their own battery and receiver. She can end me at any time. On top of that, she has it programmed to go off if it doesn't receive her safe signal. She claims the system chooses a random interval of time in between each safe signal to prevent me from figuring out how much time I would have to seek help. She made me drive Stacy away. She has held me hostage in plain sight for weeks now. She is a sick woman, obsessed with power, control, degradation. Requires me to humiliate myself publicly, to destroy my own reputation. She loves it, loves making me fulfill her sick sexual desires to be dominated and abused. But at the same time she loves the power she holds over me, knowing I must follow her demands. She is both the most twisted masochist and sadist simultaneously. I don't know how I'm going to get out of this. Right now all I can do is bide time and wait. I have to listen to her. Believe me, Brock, I am just as ashamed of everything I have done in these weeks as you are embarrassed of me. I just don't want to die. I am so scared. I'm sorry, bro. Please tell Stacy I love her very much. I have loved her since the moment we met and every single day since. I never ever wanted to hurt her, but I had to in order to protect her. And to give myself a chance to survive. Stacy will always be my only love and the greatest part of my life. Brock, I love you, brother. I hope if you are reading this I'm not already gone. If I am, please don't think less of me. It's been my only hope. Parker Watson. Octavia has still not been found, and she covered her tracks immensely well. I heard they are re-examining the death of the doctor she worked for before. I hope they find her, hopefully before she finds a new victim. I have to figure out what to do now. Luckily, Stacy and Parker's divorce was far from finalized, so she will be able to inherit his assets. I will do my best to support her and run the dealership in the meantime. It's the least I can do. I feel like this is my fault to some degree. If I had just stayed out of it, let him try and figure things out or bring me in when he thought he could. Maybe we could have saved him together. I'm sorry, Parker. I'm sorry I didn't listen. Thank you so much for watching until the end. If you enjoyed our videos, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to stay updated with our latest ones. Have a great day.